Welcome to No Tourists Allowed, a podcast where two recognized travel industry executives with a combined 71 years on the inside of travel and technology give up their secrets to the thing everyone wants to do: travel better, pay less, and see more of the world. Here are your hosts, Mike Putman and James Ferrara.
Hello, everyone. This is Mike Putman.
And I'm James Ferrara, and welcome to No Tourists Allowed.
Glad to be back with you. It's been a few weeks respite that we've had from the podcast, but we're glad to be back and in front of you with lots of great travel information.
Our summer hiatus is over, Mike.
Yeah.
Particularly yours. You have been the intrepid traveler as usual, and you've been sort of all over the world. And I think today we have a few really great subjects to talk with our listeners about. But I want to start, while it's fresh in your mind, with you and your personal excursions over the last few weeks.
Yeah. So I had a really nice, almost a sabbatical, but I left mid-July, and I took my two daughters to Paris. I have a 28-year-old and a 9-year-old, and we went to Paris for 3 days. And it's really interesting because we arrived on the 13th. On the 14th is Bastille Day, so we got to see a lot of excitement, a lot of parades. There were fireworks. The city was already, well underway with Olympic preparations. We stayed near the Eiffel Tower. By the way, good tip for people who are listening: there is a Renaissance Eiffel. It's called the Renaissance Eiffel Tower, and it's actually not that close to the Eiffel Tower, to be fair. It's probably a mile or mile and a half. So I think they took a lot of liberty with naming that hotel. But the hotel is spectacular. It's a 1800 from the 1800s, a convent that was converted, 3 buildings into a hotel, and it is, James, you would love it. It is so impeccably designed, and it really exceeded what I would have expected from a Renaissance, even though Renaissance is a higher end hotel. But right in the middle of the courtyard, there is a third party who had this gorgeous, beautiful restaurant, open air restaurant, right in the middle of the courtyard. Service was fantastic. It was really an exceptional place to stay. So Renaissance, Eiffel Tower, some Marriott property.
And that's on the left bank then.
Yes.
And did you like the experience of staying on the left bank? Is that where you usually stay when you go to Paris, or are you a right bank?
I'm an wherever I can find a good deal bank and be centrally located. I'm a more price sensitive. I want a high quality place at a reasonable price, a somewhat reasonable price. That was somewhat thrown out this time because the Olympics were getting ready to be started. But we just had a wonderful experience. Went out to Michelin star restaurant one night, and James, you will know the chef, Christian Constance.
Mm-hmm.
Went to his place, and he came out and spoke with us and signed one of his books and gave it to us because we spent an extraordinary amount of money. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then from there, we took the Eurostar train, which was fantastic, from Paris North. And I love riding trains. I mean, that's one of my favorite things to do. And the Eurostar service was tremendous. We actually had coach tickets, not first class, and the service was excellent.
Another great tip, traveling almost anywhere in the world except the United States is to travel by train. It's a great experience. You get to see the country a little bit more than if you were just flying over it, for example, or if you're on the highway in a car. And particularly in Western Europe and the UK, there's a great train system. So
yeah, and you go center city to center city. So when you fly into any, in older cities where the airports had to be built later and built further out, like Paris or London or pretty much anywhere, you've got a 30, 40 hour commute into the city typically. Whereas with the train stations were built in the city center. And so you're from city center to city center. So it makes it a lot more convenient.
You just walk out of the station and everything's there.
Yeah, you're right there. So great experience. And by the way, I purchased those tickets about 6 months in advance, and it was really inexpensive. Like $39 or $40 for a train ticket for a 3.5 hour ride, which is great on Eurostar, which is wonderful service. But anyhow, I went to from there, went into Dortmund, stayed a couple of nights there. And the reason we went to Dortmund was Taylor Swift. So we went to the Taylor Swift concert. And
Dortmund, is that a suburb of somewhere? Or?
no, it's a city. It's a city. It has one of the most famous German soccer teams, football teams. And it's really, that city is built around the football team. It's not a terribly big city, but it is all about football there. But there were no matches. But went to the Taylor Swift concert, which I was not super excited about going. I was just, wanted to be there to make sure my daughters had a good time and a safe time.
You're going to get the hate mail from the Swifties now.
Well, it's not that I didn't like her. It's just not my cup of tea. And anyhow, I went and I had a great time. I mean, the production. I've been to a lot of big concerts, and this like trumps everything multiple times. Well organized. They had people walking around passing out water so no one got overheated. It was just a lot of really nice touches, and it was family friendly. Let me put it that way. I think her content in general is family friendly, but she does some things during her show with kids, and it was really nice and just extremely well done. But it was 4.5 hours. I mean, the poor girl was up there for 4.5 hours, and she might have, gone to the dressing room for 5 minutes a couple of times, but she puts on quite a show.
Wow. And your daughters, I'm sure, were happy with that.
Crazy happy, yeah. It's a great experience. And then from there, we went back to London and spent a couple of days. Went to Anchor and Hope, as you know, my favorite restaurant in London, and had a great experience. And then sent the daughters home, and then I went up to Scotland. I had one of my friends meet me in Scotland, and in London. Then we took the train up to Edinburgh and played 12 days of golf every day. Took one day off and then played 3 days more, and then came home. But played, without a doubt, some of the best golf courses in the world. I mean, we played several top 100 golf courses.
St. Andrews,
Muirfield, which is extremely hard to get on. Royal Aberdeen, Cruden Bay, Nairn, Brora, and I'm a member of Crail, which is a course just below St. Andrews, and played a couple of rounds there. But just had a wonderful time. I mean, excellent food, beautiful. They've gotten a lot of rain in Scotland this summer, so more than they normally get. So everything was really green, not really browned out like it is a lot of times. Again, the food was great. The people, one of the reasons I love Scotland so much is the people. People are just really, really friendly, very warm, appreciative.
For me, it's the food. I love all that game, and you get wild fowl, you get fish, and just great
haggis.
A little bit of haggis.
Yeah,
haggis, everyone. And for those who don't know, haggis is like the stomach lining of the sheep, stuffed with minced organ meats and spices and whatever. It sounds very awful, but it's actually delicious.
It is a lot like what we would call country sausage in the South. Spicy and made up of lots of probably terrible things, but it's pretty tasty. Pretty tasty. But what I didn't know is that 90% of the seafood for Europe comes from Scotland.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I didn't know it was that number, but I know Scotland has incredible seafood. I've eaten a lot.
Yeah, overall fantastic trip. Great to get away. Got a lot of reading done. Had a lot of fun, a lot of exercise. And for those of you who don't know, if you don't really take carts or what they call buggies over there unless you're got a medical condition. So we were walking every day. So and typically in Europe and in the UK, you walk more than you would in the US because they don't use cars as often, use public transportation. But we were walking around 10 miles a day, and doing that for 15 days. I came back feeling really good.
Well, Scotland isn't what I would call necessarily an exotic destination, because we do tend to talk about Scotland a lot here. It's a favorite of both of ours. But it is maybe a little bit more off the beaten path than, the Big Ten that everyone talks about: Rome, London, Paris, and so on. And that's an important idea. And I'd like to spend some time with you, Mike, on that idea. You've heard me say before that I think travel agents have a responsibility, and I was recently quoted in Wall Street Journal saying this. Travel agents have a responsibility to be sending people not to the same, let's say, 30 destinations that everybody goes to or that get these big crowds. Over tourism is a really important idea right now in the world. And it's incumbent upon us as travel professionals, travel sellers, to be thinking more creatively for the benefit of the planet, certainly, so that we don't trample the planet. We spread the demand out, but also to create better experiences for our traveling customers and for our listeners here. So the idea that it just takes a little creativity, a little thought to get beyond the usual places. I mean, we live now in an age, and this has been going on for quite some time, where television programs like food and travel shows on television, and where social media with people sharing where they're traveling around the world, where we have more information than we've ever had about places in the world that may not be so commonly known, that now is the time to take advantage of all that knowledge and all of those experiences that have been shared with us. And when we travel, to go to places that are not just on that top 30 hit list. The world is full of beautiful places, thousands and thousands of interesting, fascinating places, fun places. And it just takes maybe not being lazy to go and find some of these places, and it's better for everyone. And I have a good example in that friends of ours, Mike's and mine both, just came back from a big family trip to Iceland. And Iceland is certainly more popular the last 5 years or so than it's ever been. Uh, and there's good reason for that. It is naturally beautiful, right? Stunning landscape. And there are lagoons and hidden lagoons and geysers and mountains and just beautiful.
Yeah, glaciers and so forth as well.
So they've just come back from this trip, and one of them told me Iceland was their favorite part of the trip to see all those things I just mentioned. But they went on to go on a cruise from Reykjavik to the Norwegian fjords. Also incredibly beautiful. I've done that trip myself. They sometimes refer to that itinerary as the most beautiful cruise in the world, right? In and out of these Norwegian fjords into small towns and big towns tucked away in the fjords, waterfalls and incredible scenery, incredible history. And it's a known destination, but again, probably not on that top hit list. So something maybe for some of our listeners to try. And all the major cruise lines do these Norwegian fjord cruises. And just it's interesting to me to think, and important to me, to think about these places in the world that we can go where we're not doing what we've been doing in Venice, for example. Or there's been big pushback. You've seen this in the headlines in Barcelona recently, and it's continuing on, right? Now, Barcelona happens to be the departure port for a lot of Mediterranean cruises. So not only is it a beautiful city in Spain, and it has incredible architecture and great food, but it's where you have to go to get on the cruise. So we're sending tons of people to Barcelona. We're sending tons of people to Venice for the same reason. Cruise departure port and incredibly important a center of art and culture and the beautiful canals and so on. But there are so many other destinations in Italy that are equally beautiful, equally interesting. And we just have to push beyond. We have to maybe subscribe to some travel bloggers on Instagram or Facebook so that it gets your juices flowing about other places you could see in the world. You get what I'm saying, Mike?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And there's so much content out there today that wasn't there, you know, 30 years ago. We were relying on photos and Frommer's guidebooks, and even though those guys did a good job, and Rick Steves, but there's a limitation of printing a hard book, once a year or twice a year, and how much data can get out there. But today there's so much information that's available, and getting beyond those primary cities to the tertiary cities, you're going to find the people are more open. You're going to find it's less crowded. You're probably going to find better food overall. Maybe not the high highs, but you'll certainly find more of a authentic experience, which is part of the ethos of this podcast. So, you know, going to Rome, everybody needs to go to Rome, right? I mean, there's certain things you want to see, the Colosseum and so forth. But once you get through seeing the sights and spending a day or two, take a couple of days to go up the road somewhere and get something a little more authentic.
I also say challenge your travel advisor, guys, right? Say, I've been thinking about going to Rome, but give me some alternatives. Or Athens, and I'll give you one. Go to Sicily. And in Sicily, there's incredible Greek and Roman archaeology, incredible, ruins and temples you can visit in Agrigento and Siracusa. In these, and Sicily's incredibly beautiful and much less traveled than other parts of Italy. And so I say, challenge your travel advisor. I've heard about Paris, but give me someplace else to go that might have some of the appeal of Paris, but maybe not the crowds and maybe a little less traveled. And I bet a really good travel advisor will come up with some brilliant suggestions.
Absolutely. And there's use your travel advisor. That's the way to go, especially with the off the beaten path type destinations. But there's also tons and tons of content available online through blogs, social media, etc.
Follow some good inspirational social media influencers around travel. That's another good way to open up your mind. But Mike, we've got to get you there, and getting there, if you don't have the right information or the right advisors, can be expensive. I know you've got some news about what's going on in airfares in the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now there is some special. The air market is really strange, and we generally talk about business class deals because that's where you can find huge value and a lot of comfort. Certainly makes the travel experience better. These are not the coach prices, but I'm going to tell you about some business class deals that are out there right now. And what happens is the market will go up, it'll go down. The airlines will need to generate some cash for their quarterly financials, and they'll drastically reduce prices. So what is going on right now is really crazy prices to several Asian destinations. I'm going to talk about Asia first, and there's some to Europe as well. But there are airfares in business class to Bangkok, Manila, Ho Chi Minh, and Singapore from Canada. So these are departing from Canada, and these prices are as low as $2,409, including taxes. So business class all the way to Bangkok, as an example, $2,500. Also, these will allow a free stopover in Europe. So if you route through Europe, then you can actually get a free stop. So you could take Turkish Airways, Air France is participating. So you could stop over in Paris, as an example, at no additional charge. Al Nippon is participating. So if you plan this right, you could probably do round the world type trips. And again, you just got to get yourself to Canada, right? But in comparison, these tickets would be $8, $9, $10,000 round trip. So we're seeing 75% off to Asia right now in business class. So to qualify for these, you have to have a 28-day advance purchase. So you have to buy it at least 28 days. You can stop over for up to 90 days in Europe. So that this is an unusual feature. So you don't have to stay 90 days, but you can stop over up to 90 days. Fares are non-refundables, and penalties do apply. So that's Asia. But I also want to talk about for 2025, for those of you who can plan in advance, the airlines, the major airlines have dropped fares to Europe, either going to Europe or originating from Europe. So going both ways to certain cities. And those cities are Dublin, Budapest, Zurich, and Barcelona and Madrid. But their airfares as low as, I'll give you this, Phoenix to Dublin, round trip in business class, $600 plus taxes. And that's on Delta. New York to Budapest, $500 business class round trip on American Airlines. So you got to plan in advance, stay over a Saturday night. This particular special, you have to book between 150 days in advance or 90 days in advance, depending upon the cities. And you can begin your travel. So even if you're not going to one of those cities that I suggested, you could fly into Dublin, as an example, business class, take your long haul, your 8-hour flight over to Dublin or 7.5-hour flight over to Dublin. And then let's say you wanted to go to Dusseldorf, which is where I went. You just grab another ticket, coach or whatever, from Dublin to Dusseldorf. It's probably an hour and 15-minute flight, and you can get to your destination. But these gateway cities provide significant discounts, and you can start your travel in the U.S., or if you want, you can, if you're already in Europe or you've already got a one-way to Europe, you can start in Madrid, Barcelona, and Lisbon, and fly back. And there's one other one I want to mention, and that's Lisbon to Miami. And this is for first class, by the way, not business. So some airlines just have two sections. They have, coach and business, which lie flat seats, but others actually have a true first class. This first class from Lisbon to Miami round trip is $2,445. So that ticket would normally be about $14,000, to give you a point of reference. So some fantastic deals going on right now.
I tried to book my flights to an event we have in Sorrento, Italy, in the fall. And I tried several months ago, 3-4 months ago, and the prices were outrageous. And I decided to wait it out. And now for the last month or two, there have been price wars going on in airfare, or for other reasons, as you suggested. Airlines have been dropping their fares. And now I can get that it turned out to be right thing to do. It isn't always the right thing to do. So this is a bit of a gamble. But because I waited, I can get that flight for about half what I was being quoted at the time earlier this year. So there are big sales going on out there, just basically everywhere. You might also see it, even though hotels have been very full all year. Their earnings reports, their results have come in a little under projection through the first half of the year. And so we've seen hotel rates dropping in locations around the world. So another thing to check, this might be a very good time, even if you're planning travel far in advance, this might be a very good time to book your air and even your hotels. Talk to a good travel advisor is my opinion, because otherwise there's a lot of work you have to do here, a lot of research, a lot of time. And if you're like me and you can't afford that time, then talking to a professional travel advisor is a really smart thing to do. They basically work for free for you. Doesn't cost you anything in most cases, or maybe a little booking fee or something, but they're doing a tremendous amount of work and saving you money and making sure you've got the right arrangements. So I'll do my commercial for professional travel advisors. And Mike, there's something else that we need to get to. We have been talking to our audience for months now about our giveaway. And that giveaway was a 4-day, 3-night, all-inclusive stay, an all-inclusive resort in, do you remember where it is?
Montego Bay, Jamaica. One of my favorite places.
That's right. That's right. And this does not include airfare or personal items of any kind. But once you're at the resort, it's an all-inclusive stay. And it's 4 days, 3 nights in Montego Bay, Jamaica. And we teased that out over many weeks. And now it's time to give it away. You had your opportunity to enter, all of our listeners, to enter into this drawing multiple times by going to our website, notouristallowed.com, by signing up for the newsletter there, by doing a number of other things, listening in to our podcast and getting registered, following us, adding us to your podcast apps that you may have, or your platform, Spotify, Apple, anything, becoming a subscriber with us. All of these things got you multiple entries into our drawing. And now it's time to make the drawing.
That's right. Out of thousands and thousands and thousands of entries, it is now time to pull a name out of the hat. So do you want to do the honors, James?
I am happy to do it. We also have Nathaniel DeSantis, our producer here, and I think we should have Nathaniel do it.
Why not? Yeah, Nathaniel is in a tropical setting himself, so...
I'm here. I made it. Yes, I'm in the tropical setting of Miami, over in Brickell right now. Stunning views, beautiful place, fun city.
Excellent. So, Nathaniel, you've got your finger on the button, and we need you to pick a winner for our giveaway.
The winner is Michelle Smith Hector. So we will be sending an email out to Michelle with information on how to claim everything and all the details of where you're going and what you've won. So congratulations to Michelle on that.
Congratulations, Michelle. We'll be in touch with you very soon, or maybe you'll hear the podcast before you get the email. But congratulations, and pick a friend to take on your trip, and know that James and I are probably available if you've got some.
Congratulations, Michelle, and she enters the annals of our hall of winners at NoTouristAllowed.com. Last year, what was that? December, we gave away a Viking cruise for two, a luxury Viking. No, I'm sorry.
No.
That's wrong. We gave away
Virgin.
a Virgin cruise for two, luxury Virgin cruise for two. We'll have to get to Viking and have them do the next one. But we gave away a luxury Virgin cruise for two last December. So Michelle's our new winner, and stay with us in our next season coming up after the holiday. So in the fall, we'll begin a new season, and we will have a drawing for a new travel experience then.
Yeah. So congratulations, Michelle. And to those of you who didn't win, thank you for being part of the contest, and thank you for listening to No Tourist Allowed. We really enjoy producing this content for you, and hopefully you'll find it useful and maybe somewhat entertaining. And please keep listening.
Thank you for being here with us, guys. Thank you for joining NoTouristAllowed.com.